It's getting there, guys. This upstairs is almost done. We've got spaces like this little crack right up in here. I don't know if you can see that up in there. But it's a little space that needs to get insulation, and we've got to take pieces and pack it up in there to make it work. Spaces like that we're saving for last. We're going to take the pieces that we've cut from making everything fit, and we'll push them up in there, and then I'll use spray foam and put spray foam in between all the pieces so it expands out and hopefully seals it all off. It worked pretty good over here in the corner. I had a little space I had to pack insulation in piece by piece, stuffed in the bottom, and use a stick to pick it up to the top through a little groove. And then I put spray foam in there with it. Came back the next morning, this morning, and the spray foam was just bulging out of it. So it worked pretty good right there. I'm gonna use it over there in that tight little area. Most of the house upstairs is done. We do have the same spot, only wider. Over here on this side, it's a wider gap. We can actually take pieces and just cut them to width and stick them up in there, and it'll work pretty good. In the bathroom area here, we've still got that piece of wall that needs something to attach the sheathing to up there on top. I'm thinking a 2x2 screwed into the rafter, and then we'll put the insulation in behind it. That'll work for that area. Every other place that needed a backer for the sheathing, where normal people would put sheetrock, but I'm using OSB, got this 3/4 inch tongue and groove plywood. This plywood I had left over from putting the flooring down up here. I had originally thought about putting 1/2 inch plywood here. Somebody left a comment in my last video when I said 1/2 inch plywood, and they said don't skimp out, use a 2x4. 2x4s are pretty thick and they take up a lot of space, and I want to have that space for insulation. But when I started looking at my piece, my 2-3 sheets of 1/2 inch plywood that I have, they're pretty bendy, they're kind of skimpy. So I thought about it a little more. I had these pieces of 3/4 inch tongue and groove plywood just sitting there. Figured, why not just use it? I'll like it better if I get something strong there. So I ripped a bunch of 6.5 inch pieces, I think they are, because these are 2x4s, and just screwed them down to the top, and that gives me something to anchor to. Hopefully you can still see down here. We've got, I want to say like 95% of the downstairs is done. The only places that aren't done are the thinner little cavities in the walls where the studs aren't 16 on center. We're saving all those for last so we can cut. We've got a lot of scrap right here. Hopefully we don't have to use this stuff in there. But we've got a lot of pieces where we had to cut and piece things in. So the thinner areas, we're gonna wait and see what we have left to do those with. And we'll piece those together as we need to. We haven't run out of the 16 on center insulation yet. In my last video, I said I didn't think I counted the gable walls when I did the estimate. Even if I didn't, having to buy them by the pallet, I think we're gonna have enough. Well, we have enough so far, but I think we're gonna have enough to even fill in these little cavities by cutting some of this stuff up without having to get into the attic insulation. One of the things that we had thought of when we originally started kind of drawing out the house plan, we wanted to put speakers out under the eaves so that when we're outside just enjoying nature, barbecuing, whatever we're doing out there, we can have a stereo system just turned on a little bit and you can hear it no matter where you are outside the house. It doesn't have to be super loud. You don't have to take a radio out there and set it up, and then as you walk to the other end of the house you can't hear it. So I took this speaker wire, ordered on Amazon, and I just ran it to a central location. It's going to run off the plug that's behind this sofa right here. This is going to be a pantry sooner or later someday, and we'll put a little stereo head unit in there on a shelf. So the speaker wires were just kind of hanging out right here for now. I'll eventually drill a hole in the wall and send them through the wall to where that stereo system is going to set up on the other side there. I tried to keep the speaker wires away from electrical wires in the house. It's kind of hard the way the house is set up and the way I ran the wires down the central location. But for the most part, they're at least a foot away from electrical wires so that hopefully we won't get any kind of feedback or any kind of interference from electrical wires if you're, say, using something in the kitchen. You won't hear it in the speaker system. And then we'll put another speaker somewhere in this area of the house for inside the house, so that when you go inside to outside, you won't miss your favorite song or whatever's playing on the radio. So this is the tough area of the house to insulate, or even get to for that matter. Getting insulation in these 4 slots. These 2 on the right aren't too bad. I could set the ladder up on the stairs. I do have an adjustable ladder. You can adjust the height on one side to be shorter so it'll sit on stairs. So I could get to these 2 on the right fairly easily, but the 2 on the left they're posing a problem. I'm thinking that if I run a 2x4 across that wall that's the same height as the floor, I can get some 2x6, stand them on edge, and go across, and then put plywood on that. And that'll give it a solid platform. You'll kind of have to duck underneath the thing to get up the stairs at that point, but it'll give me something to stand on while I'm working on the insulation over here. And if it comes far enough this way, I can span whatever gap is left with a ladder to get up to the higher stuff. That part I've saved for last because it's not something I'm looking forward to doing. I really don't like hanging out over that open area. The only other wire we need to run right now is a coax cable that's going to go from where our satellite is going to mount on that wall. I've already drilled the holes to where it's going to come through, come across, and then come down over here where the computers are going to be. We haven't got the coax cable yet. It was supposed to come in today, but it didn't, so hopefully it comes in tomorrow. We can run that and then finish the insulation up where I really don't want to be. Our insulation will be done. Get it inspected and start putting the walls up, covering all this stuff up. One step closer to moving in. It's getting there, guys, little by little. Until next time, go make something.